There's something deeply unsettling happening with Joey right now on Beyond the Gates, and honestly, I cannot stop thinking about it. The more these spoilers and leaked details come out, the more convinced I become that this storyline is building toward one of the darkest reveals we've seen in months. And the scary part is not simply that Joey may have ties to Plasma. No, what really sends chills down my spine is the possibility that Joey has been secretly living a double life this entire time while convincing everyone around him that he's just another innocent man caught in the middle of chaos. That is exactly the kind of long game soap opera twist that changes everything retroactively. Because suddenly, every strange reaction, every uncomfortable silence, every moment where Joey seems slightly off starts making sense in the worst possible way. And let's talk about Joey's behavior for a second, because this is where I think the writers are being incredibly clever. Joey keeps trying to maintain this calm image. Every time suspicion starts moving toward him, he immediately acts offended, defensive, even frustrated that people would question his loyalty. But here's the thing that keeps bothering me. Joey never reacts like someone who is truly shocked by accusations. Instead, he reacts like someone trying to control damage. There's a huge difference. In soap operas, innocent characters usually become emotional when falsely accused. They panic. They over-explain. They desperately try to clear their names. Joey doesn't do that. Joey studies people before answering. He chooses his words carefully. He redirects conversations. Sometimes he even looks like he's calculating how much information another person already knows before he responds. That's not normal behavior. That's survival behavior. And wow, once you start viewing Joey through that lens, the entire Plasma storyline becomes even more terrifying. The shooting incident was already shocking enough on its own, but now the leaks suggest Joey may have had prior knowledge connected to the attack, and suddenly all the puzzle pieces are starting to connect. The fact that Joey became suspicious specifically because information about the shooting was somehow circulated beforehand is absolutely massive. Somebody knew too much too early. Somebody had access they should not have had. And honestly, Joey's recent spiral makes me think he knows the walls are closing in around him. What's fascinating is how Smitty slowly started noticing the pattern before anyone else fully did. At first, it probably sounded paranoid. Joey simply happened to appear around several important incidents. That alone isn't enough to accuse somebody. But in soap operas, repeated coincidence is never really coincidence. Eventually, Smitty began realizing Joey always seemed strangely close to the center of every plasma-related disaster. That's when the alarm bells started ringing. And then there's Jacob. I need to say this because Jacob deserves so much more credit than some viewers give him. He's one of the few characters actually following logic instead of emotions right now. While other people keep allowing personal loyalty to cloud their judgment, Jacob is focusing on evidence. That's why he became suspicious after discovering details in the shooting investigation that suggested confidential information had leaked ahead of time. That revelation changed everything. Because now we're not talking about random violence anymore. We're talking about organized leaks, internal manipulation, somebody feeding information to dangerous people behind the scenes. And that immediately raises the terrifying possibility that Plasma's influence extends much deeper than anyone realized. Smitty and Jacob eventually reached a theory that honestly makes perfect sense to me. Joey may have been protecting Leah's activities within his territory. Illegal operations, secret movement, underground transactions. Suddenly, Joey's role in this story looks much larger and much darker than we originally believed. And here's why this works so well dramatically. If Joey really is connected to Plasma, the writers are not presenting him as a cartoon villain twirling his mustache in the shadows. They're presenting him as someone trapped in something dangerous. Someone who got too close to powerful people and now cannot escape without consequences. That makes him far more compelling because the most frightening soap opera characters are rarely the ones who openly enjoy evil. The truly unforgettable ones are the people who made one terrible decision and then spent months or years sinking deeper into a nightmare they can no longer control. That's exactly the energy Joey's giving right now. But let's be honest for a second, because there's another character making this situation infinitely worse, Elon. I know some viewers still defend him, and I understand why. On the surface, Elon thinks he's helping. He believes Joey. He wants to trust the people around him. But personally, I think Elon has become one of the biggest obstacles in this entire investigation. And honestly, that frustrates me so much. Because every single time Jacob gets close to uncovering something important, sensitive information somehow leaks out. Plans collapse. Targets disappear. Operations fail. At some point, you cannot always calling that bad luck. Elon keeps sharing information too freely. He speaks before thinking. He trusts too quickly. And what makes this even more tragic is that he genuinely believes he's helping Jacob when in reality he may be destroying Jacob's investigation piece by piece. That's the heartbreaking part. Elon doesn't appear malicious. He appears naive. And in dangerous storylines involving criminal organizations like Plasma, naive people can become incredibly destructive without even realizing it. I honestly think Jacob was dangerously close to finally exposing the impaler before everything collapsed. The warehouse exchange should have been the breakthrough moment. Instead, it became a disaster. The second Jacob realized the warehouse meeting was a trap, the entire tone of this storyline shifted. Suddenly, we were no longer asking only who is the impaler. Instead, the bigger question became, who inside the police department is leaking information? That changes the stakes completely. Because now the threat is internal. Now, nobody can fully trust each other. And wow, soap operas become addictive when paranoia enters the storyline. Jacob immediately started suspecting Marcel, which honestly made complete sense. Marcel has been suspicious for quite a while now. Strange interactions, missing details, uncomfortable timing. He constantly feels like someone hiding something. The writers clearly want viewers to question him. But here's where my own theory starts going in a different direction. I actually think Marcel may be too obvious. Seriously. Soap operas love setting up a suspicious character as a distraction while the real emotional bomb is hiding somewhere else entirely. And the more I watch this storyline unfold, the more I think Joey himself is the real centerpiece of the conspiracy. Not necessarily the mastermind. That's important. I don't think Joey is sitting at the top controlling Plasma. Honestly, I think he's scared. Truly scared. I think he knows dangerous people. I think he got involved in something much bigger than he expected. And now he's trapped between protecting himself and protecting the people he cares about. That internal conflict is exactly why Joey feels so unstable lately. And that's why I believe the upcoming confrontation between Jacob and Joey could become one of the best scenes this season if the writers execute it correctly. Just imagine the tension. Jacob enters calmly carrying evidence, not accusations, evidence. Recorded phone calls, documents, timelines. He places everything on the table without raising his voice. That kind of quiet confrontation is always more powerful in soap operas because silence creates pressure. Joey immediately becomes defensive, angry, loud. He accuses Jacob of targeting him unfairly. He claims everyone is trying to blame him because they need a scapegoat. At first, viewers might even question whether Jacob pushed too far, but then Jacob says one word, Plasma, and suddenly everything changes. I can already picture Joey's face in that moment. Not rage, not outrage, fear, pure fear. And that reaction would tell the audience more than any confession ever could, because Joey would not be afraid of Jacob himself. He would be afraid of the people standing behind Plasma, the people powerful enough to silence witnesses, manipulate investigations, and possibly orchestrate deadly violence from the shadows. That is what makes this storyline feel so dangerous right now. We are no longer dealing with ordinary soap opera secrets. This is evolving into a story about corruption, fear, survival, and betrayal inside systems that are supposed to protect people. And honestly, Derek's death makes the entire thing even more painful. I still cannot get over Derek being caught in the crossfire because I truly believe his death could have been prevented if information had not leaked. That tragedy hangs over every single scene now. It gives the storyline emotional weight. Characters are no longer simply chasing clues for justice or curiosity anymore. Now they're carrying guilt too. Especially Jacob, you can already feel the pressure crushing him emotionally. Every failed lead, every leak, every betrayal inside the department makes him more desperate to uncover the truth before somebody else dies. And here's the terrifying possibility I keep coming back to. What if Joey actually wants out? Seriously. What if Joey originally became involved with plasma, thinking he could handle it, benefit from it, or survive alongside it, only to realize far too late that there is no safe exit? That would completely transform his character. Suddenly, his nervous behavior, emotional instability, and defensive reactions become signs of someone trapped inside a machine he can no longer escape. And honestly, that kind of morally broken character is exactly what soap operas thrive on. Because viewers start asking impossible questions. Can Joey still be redeemed? Is he a victim? Or has he already crossed too many lines? That's the brilliance of this storyline right now. It refuses to give us easy answers. And if the writers continue building this psychological tension correctly, Joey may end up becoming one of the most complicated characters on the entire show.